The New South Wales Government has appointed an expert panel to provide advice on how to make music festivals safer. That's following the deaths of two people at defqon 1 in Sydney last weekend. But Premier Gladys Berejiklian says pill testing will not be considered as a solution by the panel. Professor Fiona Measham is a criminologist from Durham University in the UK. In 2013, she founded The Loop, a non-profit organisation that conducts pill testing at festivals and nightclubs in the UK. She's in Australia training medical professionals on how to establish pill testing here. She joins me now from Brisbane. Professor, nice to have you on the program.
Good evening.
I want to ask, first of all, we had the deaths here in Australia last weekend, which has focused attention on this, but this is a significant issue in the UK, isn't it? The numbers of people who have died just over the last year or so is really staggering.
Yeah, we're currently facing the highest drug-related death rate that we've ever had in the UK and also the highest in Europe. So it's an issue that has to be tackled, well, in the UK, in Europe and also in Australia.
And that is not something that can just be wished away or banning festivals or a more punitive approach. Clearly, people are still going to take these substances. What approach then do you take?
Yeah, so our view is that we don't encourage or condone drug use, but this is a pragmatic harm reduction response to the fact that some people will buy drugs, they'll smuggle them into the event and they'll be intent on taking them. So before they put them in their mouth, we would say, please come and get them tested and we can identify anything particularly dangerous in circulation. We can let the individuals know that, and we also can inform the emergency services so that they know what they're dealing with on site. Because one of the particular concerns in relation to the defqon tragedy, and I extend my condolences to everybody affected by that, is we still don't know what caused all of these casualties.
Now, there's a lot to sort of work through there. First of all, the willingness of people who are taking in these often illegal illicit substances to consume, the willingness to hand them over to be tested. How willing have people been to participate in the testing procedures that you have in place?
When we first started the front-of-house testing for the general public in 2016, people were understandably a little bit wary. They wondered if it was some elaborate police sting operation. But as we've grown and our reputation has been consolidated and we've done lots of very positive press, increasingly people know and trust The Loop. And now we have people queue up for hours to use the service at festivals.
Now, when you say testing, how do you conduct this? What is the process? What are you looking for? Because presumably, while predominantly the drugs we're talking about are ecstasy, presumably there are a wide range of substances.
Yeah, that's correct. So about half the samples that we receive are MDMA or ecstasy, but we're looking at what people think they've bought and what they've actually bought and comparing the two, and we find that a significant number of drugs that are sold on site have been missold, and also we see new psychoactive substances, potentially very harmful chemicals, are being missold as other drugs. So what we can do is identify those substances and provide people with harm reduction advice, and also we provide a disposal service so people can safely dispose of substances in their possession, which we then hand on to the police for safe destruction. Yeah,
I want to come to the disposal and destruction in a moment, but when you say that these substances are being missold, so people are buying these drugs and not aware of what is actually in them?
Yeah, that's right. So in the UK, about 1 in 5 drugs aren't what they thought they'd bought. I understand that it was higher in Australia for the pilot that was run here, but we have about 1 in 5 drugs that are missold. So that could be something relatively harmless, like salt missold as ketamine or brown sugar as MDMA crystal, but it could be something more harmful, more dangerous. And the biggest problem we had this summer was a very, very strong stimulant called N-ethylpentalone was being missold as MDMA, and that can last 2 to 4 days, causes anxiety, paranoia, and even psychotic episodes.
And potentially death?
And potentially death. There have been known deaths from it.
Now, when you're talking about the disposal and destruction, what impact does the testing have? People, if you find that it is a substance other than what they have thought or a potentially dangerous substance, do you then confiscate, or do you have to hand that substance back with a warning about the potential consequences of taking them?
So first of all, we never hand any substances back. Most drugs are destroyed in the testing process. We have a full lab, 20 postdoctoral chemists on site.
But presumably they've handed something that they also have in their possession, so it's a sample of what they already have. Would you confiscate what they have if it's a potential risk?
Sometimes people might have more in their possession. We obviously don't know that. We don't ask that. We ask for 1 dose to test. But also a surprising number will bring us a sample because they've had ill effects. We know people who've brought their very last pill to us because they were ill the day before and they wanted to understand what had caused that illness. We've had a person come and visit our service the day after she was hospitalised with the final amount of a substance to find out why she was hospitalised. So this is really about getting information through to people and through to emergency services. But no, we don't hand anything back. People hand over more substances of concern. If we, for example, identify something like N-ethylpentylone, then we find that up to 1 in 5 people will hand over more substances for destruction.
Does it make a difference? Have you been able to discern the numbers of people who will say, OK, on that basis, I will not consume any of these substances, or I will think twice about it? What is the data telling you right now?
Yes, we find about 1 in 5 people say that they won't be taking the substance when they find out what it is. And then about another 4 in 10 will say that they're going to take a smaller amount. So we talk to people about dosage as well, which is very important, particularly in relation to overdose. So we can provide advice which is contextualised. So they don't just get the drug results, they also get a harm reduction advice package, which is tailored to them individually. We ask them about their medical history, any medications they're on, and also their drugs history. So it's a 15-minute, 20-minute brief intervention by a healthcare professional. And then we find that more than half the people who use the service will reduce their use or not take the drug at all. And we're starting to see the benefits of that follow through in relation to the fact that there are reduced drug-related problems on site, reduced medical incidents on site, and also we're seeing reduced hospital admissions from the festival to the local hospital.
Now, I know that you've made the point that you don't condone taking these substances, but in any event, that's been the criticism, that by carrying out this procedure, that it is saying to people, look, it's okay to take them, here's some of the risk, that there is an element here that normalises this type of activity. What do you say to that criticism?
Well, generally across Europe, they've been having pill testing services for 25 years and they haven't seen an increase in use, but they have seen a decrease in drug-related problems. And we've got the highest drug-related death rate in Europe. So the countries that have had this service for a number of years have seen the benefits of that in terms of reduced drug-related problems. But as I say, it's really about the messaging to the people who use the service that it's not condoning or encouraging drug use. We're identifying the problems of the drugs in circulation.
I only have about 30 seconds left. I'm sorry I have to hold you to that, but what would your advice... I know you've been teaching people here and carrying out training programs. What's your advice then to Australian governments who may be resistant to this type of testing?
Well, basically, my view is the more information, the better for everybody, for people who might be thinking about taking drugs, but also for the police, for the medical services, for everybody who's trying to reduce drug-related harm.
Professor Measham, a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you again for giving us your time.
Thank you.